LPT. Before ending a serious relationship, change 100% of all of your passwords and remove your account info, auto login on all devices.
I'm in the midst of hiring, which is no small thing in this COVID world. I had one applicant who stood head and shoulders above the rest. She was exactly what my org was looking for. Unfortunately, during the interview process she informed us via email she was no longer interested in the opportunity. So, we moved on to our second pick candidate. Fast forward 2 weeks, I get a call from the applicant wondering if we had found someone and expressing interest in the job. I told her that she said she wasn't interested and I showed her the email she sent us. Apparently, she didn't send the email. She had recently broken up with her boyfriend during her applying for this job and he hacked into all her accounts and fucked her life up. He deleted all of her social media and also sent us a false email saying she was no longer interested in the job. Unfortunately, we hired someone so that opportunity is lost to her forever. If you are in serious relationship then your partner has all of your passwords. They do. It is ridiculously easy to get someone's passwords if you have access to their phone or computer. It is to your advantage to just assume someone you are serious with has all your passwords. Before you break up with them you need to change all, yes all, of your passwords. It is amazing how evil and vindictive people can be when they are heartbroken. Even so-called nice people can have a moment of temporary insanity after a breakup and torch your whole life if they have the chance. Don't give them that chance. Change your passwords.
Hello and welcome to our Life Pro Tips. Please help us decide if this post is a good fit for the subreddit by up or downvoting this comment. If you think that this is great advice to improve your life, please upvote. If you think this doesn't help you in any way, please downvote. If you don't care, leave it for the others to decide.
Also, change your password reset questions or just changing your password is a waste of time. After getting divorced I had to start using the less common reset questions just in case. My ex knew my family's names, first pets, schools, family vacations, etc. Everything that's found from public information about you is the stupidest security theater ever.
I pick a novel and use it for answers. X. Any question asking for a city. London. Any question asking for a name. Harry. Pet. Hedwig. School. Hogwarts. And so on. Exactly. I created the majority of my ex's accounts. I chose the answers to all of those security questions based on what he told me. We were in love and trusted each other wholeheartedly. Fast forward 15 years and we were splitting up. I had a momentary lapse in judgment and reset his password so I could read his emails. Found out he was seeing hookers. I know, foul on my part, but it sealed the deal. I told him to change absolutely everything so I wouldn't be tempted in the future. I had a friend once who used yellow for all of his security questions. Mom's maiden name, yellow. First date, yellow. Dad's middle name, you got it, yellow. The reason he did this is because he would never forget an answer, and no one would guess it, even those who knew him the best. They'd guess all the right answers, but never yellow. It wasn't even his favorite color. He didn't actually tell me the answer, but used yellow as an example. He said he looked around the room and came up with a simple word based on something random. I know someone that uses a phrase for every security question. Doesn't matter what the question is, it's always the same phrase. Where did you go to school? I like big butts and I cannot lie. What street did you grow up on? I like big butts and I cannot lie. Who's your favorite child? I like big butts and I cannot lie. This can be helpful, as long as no one knows your secret phrase, because you'll always remember your answers. Also, if someone is trying to hack you that actually knows these answers, they can't without knowing the secret phrase. This could solve the problem with divorces and other serious relationships where your so or family would know the actual answers to these questions. I'm have an abusive father and am only 20. When my options for security questions are, what street did you grow up on, and, what's your spouse's middle name, I die a little bit inside. TGIs is why you set them to things you privately agree to never tell anybody. Edit. I'm leaving it. After separating from my ex, I had a storage unit with my stuff in it. Was only in my name, but she knew where it was, and found the unit number. I found out later she had made a copy of the key, and the gate code is your unit number followed by the last 4 of your phone number, and not changeable. When I finally went to empty it, there was nothing but garbage left. My housemate got into my emails and locked me out of them and my FB by changing the security questions and making up bullshit answers. This was in 2013 and I never got access to the accounts again. It's also wise to change your phone number and email addresses, social media accounts, as mine has been signing me up for telemarketing calls and obvious scams. I advise answering the questions inaccurately. X. Q. What was your mother's maiden name? Amidala, because obviously Darth Vader is my father, and therefore Padme Amidala would be my mother. Q. What street did you grow up on? Sesame Street, Elm Street, etc. As long as you recognize what your answer would be, it can prove much better than using answers that people could learn from your public social media pages. Or, just make an answer that's not relevant to the question at all. So, for example, make all of your answers, frogs will rise up and kill us all. My answer for all of my security questions is unrelated to the question and is the same for all questions. My password questions are safe, I'd like to think, at least. I answer security questions with a nonsensical response. Something that has nothing to do with the question. My husband was a chief technology officer and always did this with passwords. It is the absolute best way to keep your accounts safe. Force sign out of all instances. Add a SIM lock code to your cell phone SIM via your phone. If your cell provider allows, add a security phrase for when you contact support for requesting things like information change or requesting a new SIM card. This helps protect against SIM swap attempts. Verify any additional contact information that is registered on your accounts, physical and email addresses, phone numbers, names. Verify all second-factor authentication settings. Make sure any phone numbers on accounts are yours and only yours. Use code generators wherever possible for two-factor authentication. Use password managers that can generate strong random passwords for you so you don't have to use simple passwords that are easy to remember but also easy to guess. While draconian, another way to reduce the extent of being affected if an email account of yours is compromised is using a completely different email address for every important financial or social media service you use. That way, if one email account of yours is compromised, its impact is limited to the one service it's associated with rather than everything. Use a PIN, password on your devices. That's why you never answer truthfully. Treat each answer like a password instead of just a face value response. Example, mother's maiden name can be Googled or found out easily. Instead, type in password, form your fondest memory with said person. TR1P2D15N3Y, first job, can be your favorite or worst memory of that place. My Bo 5560 TF1R3D. Things that you won't so easily forget. Once you develop a system, it makes it easy to use answers nobody will ever guess. By the way, I made up those passwords on the spot and they have zero relation to my actual life. Till there are people that answer the security questions in a truthful way. I've always treated security questions like placeholder password boxes. Since most the time you didn't even have to remember the question you picked, I'd always answer all security questions with the same word, with something like stone or health, something arbitrary. Yay, what one should do is like this. Sec Q, what was your first pet's name? Secca, plus bee pollen is good for 2 chipmunks. As long as you can remember which one goes where. First pet, according to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly. I did not use this, but it checks the memorable and harder to dictionary attack boxes, the latter because of a simple B switch. Pro tip: the answers to these questions don't need to be true or accurate or make any sense, you just need to remember them. So if you think you can remember that the answer to name of my first pet is 420 GREATSATAN 69 goatfucker, using that might be more secure than the real answer. LPT, you don't have to give the real answer to security questions. You can answer 123,456, your luggage combo, or anything you desire not related to the real answer. X. In what city were you born? Ursa Major F if I know. Good advice. 1 addition. Seriously consider two-step verification. Outlook, Gmail and Yahoo, among others, support this. Even when your passwords are compromised, you need to explicitly authorize login attempts with your mobile device or something else in your possession. As long as you have control over your personal device or phone number, if you use SMS tokens, only you can access your email. Also, if you use your phone for two-step verification, make sure to change its PIN, security code. Hopping on here, while I volunteered in dog rescue, we got heartbreaking calls from people whose exes stole their pets and made them disappear. You should change your locks anyway. Additionally, take good photos of your pets, get them chipped or have the chip confirmed that it'll show up on a scanner, put tags on dogs and make sure they are registered, licensed. Consider setting up cameras. One asshat got rid of his GF's dogs while they were dating and she was out of town. She was a vet tech. Crazy is crazy. Yeah, two-step verification has saved many of my accounts. I used to use the same password on most of my accounts and I think my password got leaked, so suddenly all my accounts with that password got hacked. Thankfully all the ones I cared about had two-step verification, so I lost basically nothing. Please note though that if you're on a joint account, or they can convince someone on your carrier that you're authorized enough to act on your behalf, you can be SIM swapped relatively easy, which basically means they claim the phone SIM was lost and they then can take over your number to receive SMS. It's one of the main reasons I suggest using an alternative if at all possible, such as a one-time password app. I use Microsoft Authenticator, but there's others like Google and Authy. If you are picking an app to use for two-factor, I recommend using an app such as Authy, which sets up an account so you can recover your codes if you lose your phone, and not Google Authenticator, which stores the codes on your phone only. Just make sure you change the password for your account. I work in InfoSec. A couple things on this two-factor authentication on the same device is useless. X. Don't put Authy as a Chrome extension, keep it only on the phone, and SMS 2FA is also useless due to how often and easy it is to social engineer and SIM swap. The best route is to use 2FA everywhere, not SMS 2FA, keep strong passwords of only 12 plus characters, and use a password manager like LastPass for everything including security reset questions. You should never have a real answer for the reset question. For example, my security question is, where were you born? The answer will be stored in LastPass and it will be something like, Geke VTHGW Jek 67%*. Two-step verification was how I caught my ex accessing my email a few times. He isn't the brightest. Just an FYI, remove any recovery emails from your Yahoo, if you do put on two-step. If a person gains access to the recovery email, they can get into your main account, easily bypassing the two-step security. I would assume the same for AOL, since they use the same infrastructure. That said, if you lose your Yahoo, and the recovery info is changed, your recovery email will still be listed as the recovery for a number of days, at least 2 weeks, from my estimates, and you should be able to get back in. If you wait any longer, you're permanently fucked. As for Outlook, if someone changes the recov, there is a month-long wait period for the new recovery options to be added, a fake. After that, you pretty much have no chance of getting your account back, since Outlook support is on par with Yahoo's shit. Google is the most secure of the three. If someone tries to change your recovery info, they'll usually have to be able to verify the changes using your phone number. Google has automated methods of tracking when your account is being used by someone else, such as if someone were to search terms like Apple, iCloud, Snapchat, password, etc., the account will be locked in a matter of minutes. There is no way to bypass Google's two-step fake, but if someone does get into your Gmail, make sure to at least have a passphrase on your account, so that your passwords are encrypted, otherwise the hacker has access to all your saved logins. All in all, if you want security, go for Google. If you want ease in use, go for Yahoo. I wonder for what though, is it really any kind of crime? I guess some form of impersonation or identity theft. MAAAAAYBE could be sued for compensation for the potential lost wages if she could get Op to sign some kind of document saying they were 100% going to hire her. But otherwise I don't see much to take to court. She gave him the passwords. Like Op said, she didn't change them when the relationship ended, so that's on her. It sucks and the guy is a huge asshole, but it isn't really a criminal thing. But I'm not a lawyer, so what do I know? Edit. Thanks to you, Stylux below, for the lawyer point of view. And all the other replies too. Seems she might actually have some ground to stand on. Sucks that it isn't actually her posting this, but I suppose Op could contact her still. I guess for all we really know she may have even done something about it already. Technically speaking, using her passwords to log into her accounts to delete, change information including sending false emails is technically identity theft and fraud, innit? I believe in Australia this scenario would fall under the blanket term of hacking. Destroying data, gaining unauthorized access etc. are all independent offenses from memory, with both federal and state legislation to cover it. I don't know how willing the cops would be to investigate though. That would be the deal breaker, I think. Yeah, identity theft for sure. Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Millions of families suffer every year. That isn't considered identity theft legally. Lol. The problem, quite frankly, is it is 100% impossible to fucking prove. Police don't care, and if by some stroke of luck you find a cop willing to actually investigate, they go to the ex-boyfriend and say, "Hey, did you delete all her shit and send this email?" And he says, "No, I didn't." And that, quite frankly, is that. Seriously, if you've ever called the police for any crime involving theft, you know they literally don't give a fuck. It is too hard to prove, they don't have the time and resources to chase down shit like this. It's easy to prove if you have something like Gmail. It logs timestamps and IP addresses of every login. You won't have a lot of luck going through the cops, true, but that's more than sufficient to pursue them in civil court. You have a company who says that she was their first choice until the offer was withdrawn. That's a slam dunk. This is a violation of the CFAA in the US. It can be proven fairly easily depending on how it was done. If they remember their contact info, they should let them know. Most services log IPs and timestamps, especially Gmail, Twitter and Facebook. With sufficient evidence they should easily be able to win civil court. If the ex was an idiot however, and the IPs, timestamps logged for the services are not what the person used for themselves, etc., it is more than possible to get law enforcement involved in a criminal investigation. They have a whole cybercrimes division that could prove it with the IP address of the computer deleting or sending those emails. And if they don't on the local level, they have a state agency they can request an assist from. IP addresses can't establish identity though. It could have technically been anyone with access to that device. This is the problem. This is the rub. You can log on to an email account from any device. So how do you prove it is him if he used a computer in the computer lab at a university that 10,000 people have access to? And I guarantee police won't have enough to get a search warrant for his devices based on her say-so. Sorry, the reality is, this is too much hassle for police to chase down. I'm thinking the average person is too lazy to do much more than use their own laptop. Which is where he got access to the password in the first place. From her leaving it logged in there rather than her writing down her passwords and giving them to him. This is assuming a lot. Firstly, it's assuming he used a public or private space with a camera. This was weeks ago. Most footage is deleted after 24 hours. But even if the footage still existed, you'd need a court order to get it. So now you have to fucking file a motion and an actual lawsuit to get the subpoena. Similarly, you got to try to get police involved, and they literally do not give a fuck about this sort of thing because it is resource intensive and not enough payoff. They ask the guy, he says, no. They ask, can we see your computers and devices, and he says, no. And that is that. Sorry, when you think it through, there is no case here. And the effort required is just not worth it nor the risk. As a company we actually become liable to her if we even try to help her, and her lawyer would realize it. They could easily sue us just to force a settlement. So there is no upside here for us at all. This can easily be a case of no good deed goes unpunished if we tried to help formally. So we can't take that risk. For instance, if the ex-boyfriend or her subpoena us to see our servers to prove the email train is genuine, our clients would freak out. We have sensitive data on our servers, and we'd lose $100,000 per month of business if we were brought into a lawsuit. So no, it isn't worth the risk to us. First of all, I was just expanding the discussion of the possibility that the ex used a public computer. This wasn't really an assumption as much as just an avenue of discussion, one which I was just expanding on. I didn't even bring it up originally. Second of all, this was weeks ago. Most footage is deleted after 24 hours. But even if the footage still existed, you'd need a court order to get it. So now you have to fucking file a motion and an actual lawsuit to get the subpoena. Is just not true in general. And I have recent experience in this matter. In early August, my roommate was illegally cut off by a cop car while he was on a bike in a bike lane. This resulted in fairly serious bodily harm. The cop just drove off. There were witnesses, but obviously since it involved a cop, there was no way they were going to have any sort of case without video. They ended up getting video of the incident from the security cameras of a nearby art museum over 3 weeks later. So your first point is just not true. Storage space is insanely cheap these days, so it's completely feasible and desirable to keep footage for a month or more. Hell, many home security systems will by default keep footage for many months. Secondly, he needed no subpoena or court order to get the footage because the art museum gave it up freely. Basically, you can just go and ask the entity for footage explaining your situation and they can just give it to you. It's only if they don't give it freely that you would need a court order to obtain it. In many cases, if you explain your situation to a neutral third party, they will help you out. Not every case obviously, but enough that it is certainly worth a try. Finally, she wouldn't even need your company's aid to pin down the IP. As about 100 other people have said in here, Gmail and many other email services log the IP and location of every single login. You can literally just find this in your Gmail settings. If you have an IP that is tied to a library at a certain time and they have video footage of that person in that same library on a computer at the same time as the email logs, you have a case. No police needed. That is all I was getting at. Again, it's not a sure thing, but it's certainly not a lost cause either.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video. And if you are new, subscribe and click on the bell icon.